Apex Esports League. I'm JT. Tonight we are on iRacing for Pagnian Imports Toyota GR86 Cup. It is round 2 tonight of the 5-round series, so that sees us at Virginia International Raceway in the North Course variation. Looking at the session for Virginia, we have 10 minutes practice. Weather conditions are partly cloudy. There's 10 minutes of qualifying. A race is 40 minutes. Cars are capped at 47%, so they may need to take on fuel to finish out the race. We had multiple drivers not do that last week, so we may see some conserving going on. Some pit strategies are going to be pretty exciting to see. It is a standing start and then it restarts. A single file with lap cars to the back. Our standings after the opening round, Sebastian Vandel leads the championship with 258 points. John Marinas sitting in second place with 222 and Stuart Crawford with 218, and still even close with Damien Cross with 214 points. Last week for round 1, we're at Ruds Kogan Motor Centre. Sebastian Vandel nearly opening with a clean sweep. He qualified second, went on to take the race win and secured the fastest lap, and it was Jeff Connell that took pole position. So we'll have a look at the track. So in the USA for Virginia International Raceway, there's 17 corners in this North Course variant. That's 3.62 kilometers long, and there's going to be very limited passing opportunities, so it's going to be a very tight door-to-door race. We got a bunch of drivers loading, and about 20 jumping into the session at the moment. So we'll bring up some details onto the screen. Currently following Scott Rankin. And walking him back. Racing in the league after quite some time away. Last time we saw him was when we ran the NASCARs. I don't think we have any debut drivers loading in tonight. So we'll cover through. So there's just under half the practice session remaining. As I was mentioning last week, we have some regular drivers that couldn't make it, and we've got Blake Urquhart that's going to be absent from the series, maybe for a little bit longer. That is because he's got some exciting news from today, so I do actually want to wish a huge congratulations to Blake Urquhart and his partner Nicola on the birth of their first baby, and that's baby Arthur, who was born this afternoon. So congratulations on parenthood, guys. He's going to have a lot of fun and enjoy that precious time with your newborn. It is a magical moment. So in first times in the practice session, Nathan Peters getting in a nice 1 minute 37. Ooh, just had some dramas. And Erk's watching the stream too. More than happy, mate. Been eagerly awaiting the news of the arrival. Hope you've enjoyed all that precious sleep-ins and long nights of sleep. It's going to be very busy these next couple of weeks for sure, but you don't want to miss any moment of it. So we'll have to dedicate this race to Arthur for Erk. Can we potentially see a teammate for Erk take on the win for it as well then? It's getting some pretty good lap times starting to come in now. A couple more drivers loading in. We've got Dave Arney, who wasn't able to make it last week due to illness. He's back on track. We may not get him for the whole race. He's on call at the moment, so if we do see him drop out for any stage, we means he's had to be called out to an emergency, so fingers crossed the area can survive without our Dave for the next out. Yes, definitely sleep and racing done for a little while. Scott Rankin's got the quickest time. There's only 20 seconds left. Brandon Meyer, second quickest. Also into 1:36. Bartis a 36, as is Crawford. Maybe his residual smoke. Someone's gone off for a slide. And as you can see, this track is very tight. It's a great recent free addition to iRacing. There we go, it's just booted us over. We've only still a few seconds left of the session as well. Usually it labours over. The server did load in reasonably quick. We did have a few incidents of netcode that was even visible within the live coverage last week. That one's after the Australian or the Sydney server farms going down during that day. Apparently we're up and running by that stage. There was a fair bit of netcode that was visible in the replay and then even live, and we don't usually catch too much of it live. And even from talking to a few drivers, checking out their replays from where they thought they caused incidents with drivers, and then watching it, there was night and day in between car gaps. And even with two different reviews, we're still copying a fair bit of netcode causing dramas. Hopefully that's all resolved tonight. So we've got 21 drivers in. Tanner Gomes now just jumping out on track. Callan Hodgkinson. Oh, a bit of contact. Not sure who that might have been with. The other cars just come back into the pits. I'm sure who that is. Dan Ferroni debuting with us last week. Marinos having a good run last week. He's been off track for a little while with us. David Simmons debuting for the first time on iRacing last week. Our regular viewers know him as Simo Simsel on Project Cars too, so he's jumped over to the dark side and joined us on iRacing. Doing incredibly well considering essentially just got it all joined up and jumped on and straight into a league race. Oh, big loose. That's Gallon's car number 350. So he's qualified in second position, setting a 140.7. So that's the first timed laps. A fair bit of confusion for the drivers during the session last week. A lot of drivers didn't actually come in and have to take fuel to get the race done, so we do cap the car's fuel to try and force a pit. That's not always going to be the case. It's going to be a little bit of a mix-up with the cars and the track layout, especially the short course. But there's a lot of uphill sections here, and it's going to be rather talky. So I don't think they're going to get through without a fuel stop, without doing some heavy conserving. In our post-race interview with our race winner Sebastian Vandel, he did mention he only had about a lap's worth of fuel left and the car was getting very flighty at that back end. So he's making a few little mistakes and had to sort of conserve off a little bit. So it'll be interesting just to see how they go. There was a lot of chatter post-race, thinking there's going to be at least the first 12 finishers being disqualified for not coming in for a pit. That is only a mandatory pit requirement in our Project Cars series. And is mostly because it isn't actually a setting in the game that we can require in iRacing. Well, that is a setting within Project Cars, and it will actually automatically disqualify a driver if they don't come in during the session, and it saves us having to try and actually monitor if drivers have done that over the course of a 40-minute race. As the iRacing data that flows through isn't always accurate, so we're even missing a name, so we're going to bail all this off and refresh the iRacing data. Not sure whose car that is. That was Sebastian Varndell. Struggling to shimmy. He's probably not had a whole lot of practice in here. He has been busy out racing all weekend in the real, in the go-karts, taking wins in the final race. So congratulations on having a fantastic race weekend, Seb. We'll jump on board for a lap around. His current pole position goes to Nathan Peters. He had a top 10 finish last week. He's been bumped down a couple of spots. He's done 37.666. Scott Rankin's just taken pole for 36.396. I have to apologise, I haven't actually familiarised myself a whole lot with this track. I've actually been incapacitated from racing for quite some time. It's only been able to really study the track maps and not overly visual on the track. There's 3 minutes 50 to go. And if you are just joining us for the stream for the first time, hit that follow button. We are very close to our next milestone of 300 followers. Doesn't cost you anything to click that follow button. It just helps grow our support for the league and all our drivers. They put in a lot of time and effort to try and have a fantastic race. A very windy technical track, so the fastest section is coming out onto the pit straight. After you come through the uphill section, you'll have a fair few S's, and it's really hard to try and get that braking marker as you fly through. So we are, I think we are on that pit straight, so we're going to get that time counter up in a moment. 137 with Blake Gallen. So into the horseshoe through turn 1. It's a very tidy hairpin. See how narrow this track is. Very careful of those curbs. They will get the car up. Oh, Blake's going to bring us the car in. See if we can find a driver. The Barches have just taken pole. Find a driver, it's not too far from the starting lap anyway. Jump on with John Gallen, hopefully with some better luck with the other Gallen. So that's the horseshoe again. His last lap qualified in third with a 1:36.598. See that curb, getting that car up on two wheels. And a lot of the runoffs, no exit curbing. The chicanes here, cars lifted straight up between those inner curbs when there's only dirt on the exit lines. And sweep it right up into uphill. trying to find that apex, easily run that car off. Hairpin. The second last sector before they head off in towards the final section. Oh, and he just runs off. It's caught him off guard. He can save the car. Hopefully we'll at least get him to see him wrap up a lap. He saved the car only a few corners away from that final straight. Now he's going to bring the car in. Bartas takes pole position, setting 1:36.252. He's been having a lot of good pace of luck, but he's been caught up with a lot of bad luck in incidents. We had the commentator's curse with two cars. I'm sure if this Blake might have just noticed he was on stream and parked the car up on us. We do get some that get a little camera shy. That is qualifying complete. So this is final laps. Scott Rankin and Sam Tucker crossing the lines. That's their qualifying done. All drivers getting a time on the board. Vandel's struggling, not getting a qualifying time. Hasn't stopped him before, but he's definitely not practiced up as much. Not sure if there's going to be enough time for Simmons to get a time in here. Daniel Gomes tucked in behind as well. We may get booted over into the session rather quickly. Oh, movement again. Scott Rankin's taking pole back. There's some teetering, setting at 1:35.9. I think he's going to have enough time to actually improve on that, but it's pretty set. Sam Tucker behind, taking position 2, so bumping down Bartrish 2 places. So with that, we will take a look at qualifying results now that is done and dusted. It's qualifying for round 2 in the Pagnian Imports Toyota GR86 Cup at Virginia International. We've got Scott Rankin taking pole with a 1:35.902, and then our first 10 is then Sam Tucker, Dan Bartas, John Gallen, Damien Cross, Drew Crawford, John Marinas, Blake Gallen, Brendan Meyer, Kellen Hodgkinson. Second 20 is Nathan Peters, Russell Gander, Daniel Winrow, Daniel Gones, Steph Piccoli, Dave Arney, Philip Buckland, David Simmons, Mark Cochran, Dan Ferroni. And then we've got another Lake Jonas at Seth Brown just jumping at the last end. So Sebastian qualifying 21st, getting a time in, and Seth Brown just making the cutoff. So very lucky indeed. Still getting a little bit of track time where they can, and it's just booted them over. So it'll be seeing 22 cars gridding up. So there's a minute and 30 left for the drivers to grid. Waiting on 3 drivers now. Couple of jumping in and out, so they've got to make sure they got their setups right. It's not fixed setups. So if they're running a different setup for the car for qualifying, they'd have to remember to change that over at this point. I was going to be stuck with that for the entirety of the race, especially if they're running light on fuel. We do occasionally see that they've jumped in without enough fuel and have to go and pit pretty early on to take that fuel just to be able to get the race done. For all our viewers, don't forget to use those sound effects controls underneath the stream so you can show your support to the drivers, show some applauds, boods, some other fun sound effects as all different sorts of incidents unfold. So do enjoy yourself with that. So he's waiting on Kellen Hodgkinson. There's 3 seconds left to go. Otherwise he'll be starting from pit lane.
Green, green, green.
A reasonably delayed start. There was a fair bit of spooling up last week, so they've got the start of the car a little bit more down pat. A little bit of contact going on down towards the back. I think that's similar cars. Oh, there's a few being rolled around. And Simmons also caught up in that. There's about 4 cars. Oh, there's a tow there going on. Not sure who's had to tow that. Collie at the back of it. Sure, yeah, Dan Rio and David Simmons having to tow, so we've had a fair bit going on at the very start. I did just lose chat for a moment. Let's now rejoin back in, so I should be able to see your chat messages. Track limits are going to be rather interesting. A lot of scattered cars, so I wonder if there was any meatballs that went on. Camera angles a little bit quiet on the car noises as well. These 86s can make an absolute mess of noise. Kellen Hodgkinson just joining in, so he's started from pit lane, so he's missed the start. Scott Rankin holds the lead. He's pushed out by 1.8 seconds over Tucker. Hope it's not too long of a tow because it's around that first corner. That's caused some issues. Cochrane also coming in for some damage repairs. Bacoli utilising a fast repair. Quick splash of fuel at that point may be enough just to scrape the car through. Off track for Daniel Gomes. Looks like he's made some wall contact. Looks like he was on his line. Varndell's covered some ground. So he's qualified in P21. He's moved up to position 8. Wingrow and Simmons back out on track. So now the race steward saying that reviewing that incident, we will have safety car.
Yellow flag.
We'll go back and check out that incident for fuel. So there's been a few offs that have been caused. See if we can go back and find that exact incident for the point, check out where it all went wrong. So while the safety car makes its way out, see if we can turnaround car. Yeah, it was quite the pile up, so there's much more cars involved in it than we caught. Like about 5, 6 cars being caught up in that. Yeah, multi-car pile up. That's quite chaotic. Safety car comes out. It's got Rankin in the lead. Three bunch up drivers. Single file, lap cars will be to the rear. This will make things interesting as to whether they decide to go for a pit stop at this stage. This is definitely going to throw out any potential pit strategy. Well, there's a car off to the side of the road back there as well. That's Winrow that's just gone off under safety conditions. Having a whole lot of luck. Hopefully he doesn't have to go back in and grab another fast repair. Allow our drivers that are a couple laps back try and cover some ground. Some drivers coming in, grabbing those repairs. To use some fast repairs. With the chopper chasing the guys down. The drivers are now trying to get to their positions. For it to go green. So we should only get 1, 2 safety laps. We'll try and reduce it down so that we don't get the 3 to 5 safety laps that they usually give, especially in the shorter courses. We can get a fair few. And it's rather slow pace. This will be interesting for our debut recently from Project Cars, experiencing a safety car. So he's had another tow, I think, by the looks of it. A missing bonnet for Veroni. He's got some front end damage. I think there was some contact made. Also under safety from checking the records.
flag, green flag.
So there it is, we race back underway. Oh, it sounds like there's contact going on again towards the back. You have to be very cautious with trying to go for a pass. There's not many passing opportunities. It is a very tight track. And the gap that Rankin started to put on have dwindled away. Let's open it up for Tucker to have another shot, trying to close in and potentially take the race lead. John Gallen in P3 and Bartis not too far behind. Blake Gallen in 5th position. Looks like a little bit of fishing going on just off in the front there. That may have been Seth Brown. He's really pushing this car through those S's. He's got Meyer pushing on for put the pressure. Ferroni just loses a few positions. Wouldn't be surprised if he's contending with some damage to that missing bonnet. Definitely lost some aero. So Arnie, Cochran and Games, and there's a few coming in. That's Farndell coming in the pit. Not sure if the car may be looking to be crab walking a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, Simmons is back out on track, so it must have been another tow. Rankin making quick work after that restart to pull back out to a 2-second lead. He's got some serious pace in this GR86. A lot of frame spikes going on this track as well. Some tracks are a little bit more labour intensive on the gear. Once you start trying to stream amongst it as well. Still close between John Gallen, Barshish and Blake Gallen. Put on the pressure for Brown and managed to get through. Marinas also tucking in behind. This is where you're going to get a most of his speed. He's going to duck up to the inside. Seth uses his one move to block the line. John Gallen must have made mistakes. He's dropped a couple of positions. Bartish and Blake Gallen both move up a spot. Sam Tucker seeming to pull away a bit from Dan Bartish. He's got Blake quickly closing in. Front end of Blake Gallen's car. You hear that car jolting down, coming from an off-camber corner from the curb. There's a lot of body roll in these cars. some good pace to try and get him, but similar lap times. So it's going to make it tough to try and find an opportunity to get through. If it is a possibility that they can get the car through without having to take that fuel on, may not come down to trying to beat them in pit lane. Peters and Crawford. Oh, looks like just a tow for Hodgkinson. No matter a full disconnect or exit. Just being able to pull away from Blake Gallen a bit. A race lead, 8 laps in. Leading for the full 8 laps is Scott Rankin. I think that's Winrow, so he's just... That's car. That's Piccoli. Stefan currently lap down. Mistake made by Blake Gallen. He's dropped back a few positions. He's took the pressure off Bartos. John Gallen moves up into position 4. Quickly gains on Bartos. I wonder if there was a little bit of a tangle between Gallen and Bartos. He's come in and had a pit stop as well. He's done that under the safety car potentially. Just trying to hold off Russell Gander. They've got some pretty good pace together. Rankin's pushing that gap out. That's another 2-second lead that he's got. Oh, that car bouncing out on that exit curve. He's pushing the car to the full limits of the track. That previous lap, 1:35.797. Some big pace he's getting out of it. A little bit of a tangle here. I think it may have been with lap car. Blake Gallen and Meyer currently out. Nice inside line pass for Blake Gallen. Not the easiest of corners. It is very hard to try and get that apex. It's a blind corner on the crest. He positions himself nicely at just before the turn in, forcing Meyer to have to stay out wide. Blake's having some good pace, having dropped back a couple of positions, recovered quickly over the course of this lap. So he's only got another couple of seconds to go and he'll be taking on John Gallen. He's rather occupied at the moment, trying to find an opportunity to get past Bartos, and I think he's going to go for it. Oh, lap traffic as well at Simmons. 3 wide through the horseshoe. Nicely executed. That could have gone very bad. Bartos doesn't get held up too much either, so we can keep that pace, try and have another go and get back around and reclaim position 3. Goes Tucker, Bartos. Gomes and Brown side by side, little bit of contact through the corner. Fair bit of rubbing. It looks like Arnie just tucked in behind the two. Oh, slide. And I think some Netco clipping the rear. Unless that was some damage as a result of it. So the two now off track. I think Gomes missing that rear section of the car. Without the wing, this car is probably going to be rather unstable in the rear. Just start dropping that wing angle off on the car. Gets rather loose. I actually don't think I've even actually been able to rejoin back on that chat channel, so probably haven't seen your messages coming through being doing so. Yeah, it's actually disconnected and reconnected now. Chat. Just trying to hold tail Mark Cochran. We're past the halfway point. There's 17 minutes, 50 seconds remaining. It's for 12 laps in. Rankin has led for the entirety, even with the safety car early on. And he should pull that gap back out. He's got more lap traffic coming up. Cross carrying some pace. Closing on Crawford. Cross having made a stop as well. Once again, John Gallen, Bartos and Blake Gallen bunching up again. They've been contesting for position 3 for quite some time. While these guys well and truly focus on fighting for that position. This is allowing Rankin to completely focus on just pushing that car out, getting as many quick laps in. He's getting around that lap traffic pretty quickly. Gallen in position 2. Not too far behind. He's still got ample time to try and close in and join in on this battle. back car with Dan Bartish. See how aggressive those curbs are. Look at the pace coming in here from Blake Gallen. He goes to make a move. Puts on the pressure. There's some lap traffic as well. Right on the tail. Oh, some netcode definitely causing some contact. Looked like Bartish's car had a little jolt at the rear. There was quite a clear gap between the two. Oh, that car having some dramas. I think that's Brown. It's unfortunate for Bartish. He was having a great battle. He's only dropped him back to position 8. That's really unsettled the car. Some dirty tyres it's going to take to get them back up to scratch. Yeah, so from having a look through my contact register, it's only picked up as single contact with Bartish's car. So he's copped the blunt of some netcode. Lapping Arnie at the moment. Lets the traffic through. At the same time, I think that's just allowed Brown to sneak on through. Moving aside for the blue flag. So it's 13 minutes. There's only about 10 laps left in it. Gallen managed to pull away a little bit with intense battling going on between Blake Gallen and Bartish. But now that Bartish isn't there to be contesting with Blake, will he be able to close in on position 2? That lap then by John Gallen at 136.9, Blake Gallen at 137.1. So not a whole lot of difference between the two, only a couple of tenths. Easily be made up. Nice. Tucking in behind, nice and casually, just enjoying that draft. Can even be doing a little bit of conserving as well. It's a pretty good position to try and do that. So even if you can get enough fuel to be able to get the car closely home with only a lap or 2 left of fuel, that car becomes very skatey in that tail end in those last laps. Gets a little bit loose there for John Gallen. Bartish trying to make his way up ahead. We've got Cochrane and Gander fighting out for position 9. Cochrane looking for a line to go, but then unsettled the car. He seems to have a little bit more pace. That's catching him off guard as he comes through. He's got to be careful. Doesn't carry more speed than the car ahead. Make contact, so he'll be at fault. Big slide for Bartish. No damage. Let's try and get the car on. Will he bring it in the pits? Could he potentially be dealing with some damage? He just moves offline to try and let the traffic make its way through. As Phil Buckland moves up a spot. Blake Gallen's just been into the pits. 11.6 seconds, so it looks like he's taken on fuel. So could that be a sign that it's going to be unlikely that they're going to get through the race on one tank of fuel? Silo Sofa, thanks for following. Thanks for joining the stream. Getting awfully close to that 300 count now. It's going to be exciting. We'll see that by the end of round 2. So it looks like some other pitting has gone on. We've had some dropping down. John Gallen dropping down. So we're getting a fair bit of frame issues at the moment. John Gallen was position 2, so he's dropped down to P5. It's allowed Cross to move up a spot. And he did make an early stop. I think he had damage early on. May have even pit. It's around that safety car time. So if he took a splash of fuel, even if it's just a few litres, it could be enough just to make that car get to the finish line without another stop. Interesting because Rankin has been absolutely pushing this car for the entirety of the race. It's been 18 laps out the front. Hey Ricky, thanks for jumping on the stream. And cheer on the teammates. You guys have been having a pretty good run out there. Battling around the top 10. Blake Gallen running up towards the front end. Pit stop seeing him come back to P13. Oh, that's Barshas as well. He's still having dramas. I wonder if he really did take some damage. Bring that like a netcode incident for him. He's been having a good fight. Position 3 for the majority of the race. And some great qualifying times. His fastest lap of the race at 1:36.684. So it's about average for most of the drivers. So it's about a first 10 are all in the 1:36s. Just that previous lap, Rankin setting a 1:35.504. Session fastest lap's just been done on lap 17, and that's by Sebastian Vandel. So 1:35.376. Just under 7 minutes left to go. Getting a little bit of a lag spike going on in the stream. Starting to get a little bit of spacing after some pits and mix up of the drivers in the field as they're trying to reclaim their way back up to their positions. Ganders is closing in now. We're in P7. He's trying to close the gap to P6 ahead, John Gallen. That previous lap, Marinas was about 4 tenths quicker, so he could easily start closing in. Another mistake for Gallen. Oh, he's gone off track to pass. It's probably going to sting him. Oh, that's maybe for lap traffic. Actually, no, that is John Gallen and Stuart Crawford. on, 4 wheels off track. Oh, another one. That's Crawford that's copying those. Onto driver's reach, 17 incident points. They will have to come through for a drive-through penalty. It's under 5 minutes to go. We're on lap 20, about to start lap 21. Brendan Myers in position 2. Came across P3. Sam Tucker held P2 for quite some time early on. Not too far back. Starting to see a lot of little oversteer corrections that's going on for the cars. That's Cross trying to break that slipstream. See Tucker starting to catch up a little bit. It's a rather long section. The layout of that horseshoe in turn 1 does allow to actually try and brake a little late, go in and make a pass through turn 1. You don't have to shave a whole lot of speed off. That's Bartosz being lapped there, so that's position 14. Not long ago, he's up in P3, fighting it up the front end. He's just had no luck with his car since. That's pull up just before the wall. Scrapes it. That's unfortunate for Bartosz. Bit of net code, and then all his luck goes out. Tyres. The car doesn't like once it gets towards that empty section on the hot tyres as well. The track temperature's actually increased a fair bit, so conditions are clear. Track temperature's gone up to 29 degrees. We did start this session with partly cloudy conditions, so we've actually had a full change in weather. We set the game, we don't actually have a synchronized set of weather. It's just a 20% chance of variation, so usually mainly see a few different degrees, maybe a little bit of lightning, a cloud, but not to go from this big change just over the course of the 40 minutes. So I think the drivers' cars are definitely feeling that increase in temperature, especially now that the cars are getting very light on fuel. Traffic, I think that's Ferroni. So we've had a few retirements. Daniel Gomes and Seth Brown now dropping out. We had in lap 7, Callan Hodgkinson. Gomes, lap 13, Brown in lap 14. There's only 1 minute to go with 1 minute 36 laps, just depending on where we have a rank, and we could potentially see one more lap. Yeah, I think we'll see one more lap. We're coming on to that last section of the track now, so there'll be enough time to cross that control line and then get the white flag. Rankin's got ample time to spare. It's 27 seconds. So if you could play it cautious, you could actually drop the car's pace down a bit. So he crosses the control line on this lap, which I think is going to be the case anyway. He's much further back. Oh, not too far. So this could be checkered flag. It is. So it's just changed over. So that's the last lap. Scott Rankin takes the checkered flag for round 2 of the Toyota GR86 Cup. Congratulations to Scott. Meyer a little bit uncontested here. He's got a fair gap between himself and Cross in P3. So that sees podium in position 2 for Brendan Meyer. Damon Cross, P3. Oh, John Gallen and John Marinas side by side for the finish. I think Gallen just got him. So P4 for John Gallen, John Marinas P5. Sam Tugger destroys the car out into the fence. Crawford 7th. Cochrane wedged himself into the tyre wall. Yeah, that car's not going anywhere. These cars with solid hits in the wall, they do get completely launched in. It's almost been an announcement of John Gallen. There's a few drivers actually still racing. Oh, another car joins. Coley's nearly made it all the way through. It's probably Blake Gallen's car that's actually rocking up on the tyre wall. He's having some fantastic antics at the conclusion of the race. So we'll take a look at those results now. So after 24 laps at Virginia for the Pagnian Imports Toyota GR86 Cup in round 2, we have Scott Rankin taking victory, and then on the podium in position 2 is Brendan Meyer, and P3 is Damien Cross. And then the rest of their standings down through to position 10 is John Marinas, John Gallen, Stuart Crawford, Sam Tucker, Mark Cochrane, Nathan Peters, Russell Gander. And then second lot from 11th to 20th is Blake Gallen, Sebastian Vindel, Philip Buckland, Dave Arney, Dan Bartish, Dan Ferroni, Daniel Winrow, Steph Piccoli, David Simmons, Seth Brown, and then we've got Daniel Gomes and Callan Hodgkinson. Let's see if our drivers have jumped over into here. Remember to jump into the podium chat. So we've got Scott, Brendan and Damien. We've got Brendan jumping in. And congratulations, guys. Taking podium for you, Brendan and Damien.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was a interesting race. I wasn't expecting that result out of that.
Yeah, you suddenly moved up towards that front end. So there was the same few drivers battling for P3 for the majority of the race, and then one peeled off and one went for a little bit of a spill, and you guys just powered on through.
Yeah, well, the safety car helped me out big time because I had an incident on lap 1. Had to go pick the damage, and then when the safety car came out, that let me catch it back to the pack, and then from there on, it was just everyone else struggling as well. So.
And just weaved your way through from a tangle in early lap to the podium, so well done.
Yeah, so it was just a few hard luck stories by others, but Scott and Brendan, they were very good pace, so they deserve where they should be.
Yeah, well done. Brendan's here. You were tucking behind, watching that battle for a fair while, just waiting to pick your moment as well.
With Stuart, I was having a good battle with Stuart there at the end. I was just sort of letting him go, and then he made an error, so...
That's quite lucky.
Yeah. Anyway, all good.
Snuck through. Yeah, congrats, Brendan. Good run.
Yeah, it was, I couldn't get a clean qualifying on that, which was shocking. Like, I was pulling on pretty early 36s, so I was hoping to be further up in the pack on that one. But, yeah, set back quite a bit, which, yeah, was perfect start, so I was just waiting for it to end in tears. But,
You got through it.
yeah, managed to get through it, and then everybody started to just sort of peel off in front of me. So I thought, all I've got to do is just hold it together. Like, there was no way I was catching Scott. He was just too far ahead. That guy's got pace and a half. So, but yeah,
I think we could have got another couple more safety cars for you too, Scott, and you could have still pulled through. Oh, he's just left and come back. You back, Scott?
Yeah, sorry, man. I just went to message somebody in just chat.
I was just gonna say though, I'm having trouble trying to catch you at the end there, and I think even if we called another couple of safety cars, you probably might have pulled them away again. Didn't take you long to try and get that 2-second lead back, and then dragged it out to nearly 28 seconds in the end.
A league where I can run these things, and it doesn't conflict with my commentating and other commitment schedules. So yeah, no, I'm happy with that, stoked with it. Yeah, but yeah, look, I mean, it's about consistency. A few things I was actually flicking through post race was actually the traction control and the ABS. I didn't actually realise the traction control setup I was on was actually turned off.
Oh. Quite interesting. I did see towards the back end the car started getting quite taily for you. Were you running low on fuel and tyres cooked? Because I noticed the weather conditions changed from partly cloudy through to clear, and even the track temp went up to 29 in that last 5 to 10 minutes.
Not really, to be honest with you. It was more sort of trying to balance the throttle. I think what happened in the last few minutes was I actually started to find the last few tenths in all the corners. I think it was a 34 out there in the cold track temps. But yeah, it was just fine about putting it together cleanly and consistently. So I was changing my lines up a little bit. There was a couple of things I sort of noticed in the last 15 minutes of the race where I could take the corner slightly differently, or just run a slightly alternate line, which induced different behaviours in the car, sure, but that was more driver error than anything else. Yeah, look, I mean, she's a tricky car. Obviously, waiting for it to settle is the biggest thing, and I think a lot of people go into this car thinking, first and foremost, that it's a standard brake setup where it's 50% front and rear, so it is, you know, a lot more spread across the car, and you can't really play with that. So
yeah, no movement on it. Yeah.
Yeah, so
You can't brake too hard. It's just the rear end goes a bit together. The third end brake is hard for so tall.
yeah, and you just can't carry it. It's the perfect car for learning for me, because there is no other car that I've found on iRacing can give the same level of feedback through the screen that this car's giving me. So it's good because this car has actually made me faster than a lot of other cars. And the other thing is it gets you slowing the corners down and thinking about, okay, I'm looking to carry the brake all the way to this point in the corner. I'm going to try and brake deeper into the corner this time. I'm going to brake all the way through the corner and see if that gives me pace, you know. So it actually gets me thinking about my driving technique and the way that I drive the car as well. So
Corner exit's crucial in this thing too.
it's how you transition through the corner and how you transition the weight around the car. It is the critical thing. Like, yeah, sure, it's a momentum car, and you definitely got to try and get back to the throttle properly, but it's not necessarily about jumping straight to the throttle and trying to get back onto the throttle so much as it is about balancing the car in the middle of the corner. Like the last two corners here, if you picked up the throttle too early and too aggressively, you're off in the lead on the left hand side. We saw a lot of that tonight. So
Yeah, could easily catch a lot off there. There was a lot of dirt out there being brought back on.
This is like, yeah, my first racing these cars. Like, I think I tested it when it first came out, but yeah, it takes a lot of sort of winding yourself back to get that throttle control. I think a lot of people think it's flat out, just push,
Yeah.
push, push. But yeah, you lose so much time. And trying to find that little fine line, that's been tricky for me since I think this is like my only third race in the car, so it's definitely second race in the car, so it's
Yeah.
definitely unique to try to get your head around.
That's it. You probably just get it fine-tuned by the end of the 5-round series, and then off we go again.
I mean, the thing for me is, you know, I jumped in this car for the first time, and I was in love straight away. I knew this is the car that I wanted to drive. I jumped in 2013 when it just come out. Went and drove it around a couple of tracks, and straight away was straight to the world record. So I was like, alright, this is the
Yeah, focus on it. I did enjoy it the first time I got the jump on it and give it a go. And then and I did the exact same things you're saying. You know, it catches you off, and you go in too hot, and that tail goes out. And then it is a nice little drift car as well on some of the tracks. So it's a lot of fun in many ways. This car, it's fantastic.
Yeah, and it actually the biggest setup tweak, the tip that you guys can all take away from that one is actually the rake in the car controls the drivability of the car and how it is. So this was, I think I took a virtual racing school setup tonight, and the first thing that I noticed when I jumped into it was a little bit too taily for my behaviour. So I actually took the rake down by 3 clicks at the rear, so just lowered the rear ride height by 3 clicks. And
I
that
found
settled
lowering
it perfect.
the rear, if you can play with the rear ride height, you can do a lot of...
Really settle it down.
Yeah. Well, you can drive it more like a car than it's swinging around too much.
Yeah.
It just takes I think the VRS setup is probably where the pros want to be with the car, sure, but it's sort of a step too far in that. It's the first time I've actually said I don't play with setups with guys on this one. It's just not something I do. But I found this was quite easy. I was talking to by the guy by the name of Dylan Shepard, and he was playing around with his own setups for the open races. And he said, oh yeah, I'm running maximum rate here because I want that rear end to come. So it's the front end on the floor and rear end up against the ride height stops or the limits at the rear end of the car because you just need so much weight on the front end. And then here it's about 85-90% of the way on the rear when I first started the setup, so it's just settling that down. I definitely think it actually was faster on a high gear setup. Just again, maybe I needed to come back a little bit further with the ride height differences. But it's also got a big works like the big tank section work, and the car itself isn't actually heated across all the corners. And as the fuel burns out, it actually raises the ride height at the fuel tank section work. The fuel tank's not heated across the car.
Oh, there you go.
Someone was obsessed.
Yeah, I'm gonna say you know you're 86. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. What have they done to it?
Well, yeah, they were like, oh, we can't get any setups to pass tech, and the car's leaning completely on the left-hand side. Yeah, sure enough, the suspension was broken, but it was only slightly broken. The iRacing sets and whatnot, so a little bit of tweaking got it out of that, and that's what it turned out to be.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I feel I can take that away and smash out some good battles in the next round. Especially with all the short courses, it's leaving it very limited passing opportunities. So it's you really got to get that car dialed in to be able to make the most of it. So it's Alton Park next week in the island setup, so another tight passing opportunity again.
Yeah. So with all that, you all got to be spatially aware. Just gotta listen.
Yeah. A lot of follow the leader.
Well,
look for an error and then sneak your way through.
yeah, you can make your moves, but it's tough.
Yeah, definitely.
Park's going to be about 7 to move up. Like, you won't get
Yeah.
the first time that the move really presents itself is not going to be the time where you're going to get it done. What you'll do is you'll force the car ahead and you cover that inside line. They're then going to be slow, their momentum, their line's going to be compromised to the next corner. You actually sort of back the corner up a little bit and look for the run off that corner.
Look for the exit. Yeah.
That's where you'll get the move done. And in terms of the officials, like I've been up in the racing, the 5 and 6K guys and these sorts of cars, and that's what it's about. It's not actually getting the move done the first opportunity presents itself. It's how am I thinking through, how am I going to push the car into the right spot at the right time. Not only is it such a good learner's car for feedback and understanding how weight transitions through a car all the way through to racing. Guys not watching on, it's not about the skills that you learn in this car, but specifically it's actually the skills will carry through just about every car. But it's also the racecraft is so key. Because as soon as you get into a pack with 5 guys covered by less than a second, and in some cases, some tracks you can get a second and a half cars, and just the tow will get them together. So knowing how to utilize the racecraft to actually get the move done and hang on to the spot afterwards is so critical. So there's no point in these cars shoving the nose in, not getting a move done, and then you lose 3 spots.
That's
Yeah,
it.
toe's definitely big on these. Like, definitely makes a huge difference. Like, it really starts to come into play, especially if you can keep it and consistent. That's all I did was just consistent, just follow and toe and just wait.
Yeah, we saw that last week along that pit straight. Just the amount of
they're so
speed
hard
you
to
could
break
pull up.
away,
Yeah.
So hard to break away from people. It's frustrating because it's like in the GTEs, once you get a clean run, you know you're quick, you started to, set your pace, you can see your length, you can sort of make a gap and really pull away. But in these, you turn around and the mirrors is full. It's like,
Yeah.
what else can I do to get this guy off the path?
That's it. Yeah, so congrats guys, and thanks for some great info on the cars. Hopefully we see some tunings being done and even more intense battles next week. So good luck with the practice for Alton Park. Thanks guys.
Good racing, guys. Good win.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
And there we have the podium finishes. We've got Rankin taking the win for round 2 and giving some great advice on this new car that iRacing has given us. There's a lot you can do with it. It is a lot of fun. So if you haven't given it a drive and you're on iRacing, do jump out there and give it a thrash. And then P2, we've got Brendan Meyer and Damien Cross in position 3. And then we do head off to Alton Park Circuit in the Island variant for round 3. So that'll be again next Monday at 7:35 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. And we've also got some Project Cars 2 racing this Thursday night at 7:45 p.m. So that's in the Janelle G40 Cup, so don't miss that. It's a lot of good, small, powerful cars thrashing out over short courses, and there's going to be plenty of good door-to-door action over these next few weeks, so don't miss it. Hit the follow button, you'll be notified when we go live. Thanks for tuning in, and hope to see you trackside next time.